regarding the Bracha Layshayv Basukkah. First of all, the Gra has no particular shita. The Gra simply follows what the Talmud Bavli states explicitly, as do all the Geonim, as does the Rif, as does the Rambam. Therefore, what they say is that every time you enter the Sukkah, you make the Bracha. But one has to qualify that statement. If one enters the Sukkah whilst one is cooking in the kitchen, you don't cook in the Sukkah. And even if you could cook in the Sukkah, you don't. You wouldn't. So you're cooking in the kitchen, and you forgot the salt on the table in the Sukkah. So you enter the Sukkah in order to take the salt, in order to leave immediately and go back to the kitchen to salt your stew or whatever it is that you're putting together. There, you don't make the bracha and entering the Sukkah, because your entering of the Sukkah was entirely a mikre ba'alma, was just a happenstance that you needed that salt and you had to get it from there. But you didn't enter the Sukkah in order to be in the Sukkah. You actually entered the Sukkah in order not to be there. So that's not the situation where you will make the bracha. And if you leave for a minute or something to again maybe to grab the salt, I'm also not sure that you need to say it again when you re-enter the Sukkah 1 minute later with the salt in your hand, and you're in the middle of eating or something. Not sure about that. But apart from that, you would say it every time that you enter the Sukkah, and that's even 50 or 100 times a day. Well, there's nothing difficult about it. Even if you only intend to be there for 2 minutes, you drink a cup of coffee or something. That's the mitzvah of being in a Sukkah, living in a Sukkah. It's true that the Shita of the Yerushalmi is much more user-friendly, shall we say. That's not the reason I'm saying one should opt for this Shita or that Shita, but it is more straightforward. You make the bracha once, the whole Chag. First night you make the bracha, and that's tofes for the whole Chag, 7 days and 7 nights, because there's no hefsek. The mitzvah of Sukkah is without hefsek for 7 days and 7 nights. So the fact that you leave the Sukkah during the course of the Chag, that's neither here nor there. Just as when you meet someone and they ask you, where do you live? And you say, well, I live in such and such a place. You give them your address. That doesn't mean you're there the whole time. You go shopping, you go to work, you go to shul, whatever you do. You're not at home all of your waking hours, or even not always at night you're at home also, either, for whatever reason. But you live, that's the place you live, that's your home. The Sukkah is your home for 7 days and 7 nights. So of course you leave. You have many things you need to do outside the Sukkah. Things that you cannot do in the Sukkah, or things that it wouldn't be practical to do in the Sukkah, or what have you. And that's part of the mitzvah, that you come and go as you do in your home. And so that the fact that you leave many times and re-enter many times is perfectly okay. That's normal.
I wanted to ask you something I've asked you before. Let's say I go by the Yerushalmi's approach, and I say Layshayv Basukkah once at the beginning of Sukkah. But then I have company over, let's say for Yom Tov, and they want to hear the Bracha Layshayv Basukkah. So one solution I found to that is having somebody else say Layshayv Basukkah.
What's the problem with that?
Would it be incorrect for me to say it on a one-time bit? In other words, to add an extra one there by myself for their sake?
I can't imagine that you could define saying the Bracha Layshayv Basukkah as an avera, but it's also perfectly reasonable to tell the person, this is what I do, and then if you want to hear the bracha, that's fine also. It's a mahloket between Rabbi and the Chachamim, and between the Bavli and the Yerushalmi. The Bavli holds like Rabbi, the Yerushalmi holds like the Chachamim, which is a common pattern that we see. The Bavli much more frequently will be posek like a Tana, like a Dat Yahid amongst the Tanaim against the Rabbim, than the Yerushalmi does, which it almost never does such a thing in the Yerushalmi. And you can tell them, make the bracha, like even if you said hamotzi, like say it was lecha mishner, it was a yom tov, or you had lecha mishner, so you say hamotzi, And you give them the piece of bread, and they can say Layshayv Basukkah before the bread, after the bread, whatever their minhag is. All those questions, of course, become academic when you say the bracha once at the beginning of the Chag. But whatever the case is, it doesn't make sense to say it in between hamotzi and taking a bite from the bread. To me, it doesn't make sense. It should be before or after, but whatever.
But even according to the practice of the Yerushalmi, which is the simplest, obviously, the Rav's practice, my practice also, is to say it during Kiddush. But by the time you get to Kiddush, you've been sitting in the Sukkah, give or take, 15-20 minutes.
So I'm not sure why it has to be 15 or 20 minutes. It could also be equally 60 seconds or 30 seconds, but that doesn't matter, because technically you're entirely correct. You could say it as you're standing at the entrance to the Sukkah. You come back from Shul on Leil Yom Tov Rishon, and you're about to enter the Sukkah for the first time, and you make the bracha then. That's okay also. It's just that the idea of being l'sader ha-brachot ala kos biyahad, it comes up, and this idea appears in the Talmud. It also appears in the Zohar, by the way. So it's okay to delay the bracha a few minutes or even half an hour, whatever the case may be, to say it as a siyum of kiddush. That's perfectly okay. Also, there's also another reason to do that, because then you're going to have all the family, all the guests, everyone's going to be there, they're all going to hear the bracha. It's a kind of official way to announce also that the Chag has begun, and anyone who wants to be Yotzei with your bracha can be Yotzei with the bracha.
The production of these videos and maintaining this channel demands much time and money. If you enjoyed this video, please show your appreciation and support. To make a donation, please go to www.machonshilo.org and press the PayPal button, which appears on the upper right-hand side of the home page. To sponsor a video or purchase Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael, please write us at office@machonshilo.org.